Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed on the View podcast of all time. Welcome to, that's right, you guessed it, the Prince of Fresh Air, back with your host, the tall glass of water himself, and this man Dimitri. How you doing?
What's up, man?
It's been a long day, man. People be thinking I'm Chris Hemsworth. One person thought I was Chris Evans.
I hope one day you really meet Chris Hemsworth and tell him all that. I wonder his. I'd love to see his reaction. Get
uh,
that on video.
he might die laughing, but let's get into this. Let's have a talk. So I did an episode about George Floyd. It was like one of the early episodes. Um, and my opinions changed over time about the whole thing. As we all know, the man who murdered George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, has been released on bail, which was set at 1 million, and his court trial is set to begin March of next year. But before I get into that, I want to have an honest talk about George Floyd. Now, don't get me wrong. What happened to George Floyd was terrible and it was disgusting, despicable. But one thing after reading about this man is that even though his death was horrifying, I don't agree with the martyr thing that people are portraying him to be. I don't think he is a upstanding citizen to the black community. I don't think his face um, should be plastered on T-shirts and hats. You know, if you want to stand up for police brutality, that's one thing. But in terms of the guy himself, he was a scumbag. But and I'll talk about why I feel that way. He was a scumbag. So George Floyd, for people who don't know, obviously everybody knows of him because of his murder. But let's talk about George Floyd, shall we? So George Floyd was many things. He was a rapper. He did some adult films. You know, I'm not judging him on that. It is what it is. But this man has also been in jail plenty of times. Between 1997 and 2005, he went to jail for about 8 different prison terms for charges including drug possession, theft, and trespass. And then in 2009, here's the kicker: 2009, he was sentenced to 5 years. So what happened was, him and his buddies went to go rob a pregnant woman. So one of his buddies, uh, dressed up as a water employee for it was like the water department employee. So he knocked on this lady's door and said, "I'm here to fix your water line." And when she opened the door, they came busting up in there. George Floyd and them ran up in there, and they ransacked the place. It was a robbery. George Floyd pulls out a gun and puts the gun to her stomach. And this is a pregnant woman we're talking about. So, and I'm not saying that if it was anybody else, it'd be different, but we're talking about a defenseless woman who's carrying her unborn child. Um, so the ransacked the place, can't find any drugs, guns, money. So they steal her wallet, her phone, and he threatened her that if she yelled or screamed, he put one in her. So how do you feel about it? Because man, I'm not about to start up praising criminals just because you know celebrating, not celebrating. Um, Talking about police brutality is one thing, but I've learned to separate the person from the media. And George Floyd in itself, I can't support him.
Where'd you get all that from?
It's on Wikipedia. And there's been a bunch of news sources coming out about it. Because one of the other things that came out was, obviously people think it's been like 5 years since 6 years since he did his last prison stint. But when they did the autopsy report after his death, they found methamphetamine and another drug in the system. And then he apparently had a baggie of drugs on his person as well. Um, but that's the stuff that came out. And all of his case and stuff is public too.
Right. Well, all right. Hold on, because now that's actually making me look up the information myself. Not saying that this is specifically the case, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt. So let's say if you're somebody who lived a life like a criminal life, you were a criminal and let's say you go to jail, you lived your life, you made those mistakes, you go to jail, and let's say you come out of jail. And I mentioned this before where, there's people who come out of jail and they're held accountable for their crimes for the rest of their life because it's difficult for most people who were convicted to get a job, right?
Right.
How would that make you feel if ever since you're released from jail, people always pinned you as that guy that you were in 2009, that guy that you were in the 90s, despite the fact that for a fact if, given, the chance, you would take those things back, or you probably wouldn't do that?
It's a tricky one, but honestly, it's one of those things where, you kind of.
I'm talking about you. So take other people out the equation. I'm talking about you specifically. Like if you lived a certain life, you did the time and you came out, a completely different person, and you obviously are, remorseful and you wouldn't do those things. Hypothetically, how would you feel if I looked at you as the same guy that you were before you went to prison? It wouldn't feel good.
I wouldn't blame you. I think
I understand that, but how would that make
obviously everybody who comes out of jail feel wrong, but it doesn't take away from. It's like if a rapist coming out of jail, like for instance Jerry Fogel, he might feel remorseful, but that doesn't take away the fact that he, abused a bunch of kids. So, I mean, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, that's a stigma you're gonna have to carry on for the rest of your life.
Well, obviously, because you ultimately are, you're the harbinger of your life. You control your own choices. Obviously, he made his choice. However, I don't think that his criminal background, makes me look at again that situation any different,
Right.
than it was, because again that happened in 2009, and then prior to that was the 90s, and he got out of jail in 2013. So that was 7 years between the day he got out of jail in 2020. And has he committed any crimes since? His criminal background and his criminal, past, to me, is irrelevant to what happened to him and what ultimately led to his death, because that's not why the cops were after him that day.
Right. No, you're
If
right.
the police were after him for something that he did recently, then all right, cool. Or something connected to his past, then cool, connected to the past all you want. But because of the fact that he wasn't, in police custody for anything that had to do with his past, it has nothing to do with it. I don't really look at it any different.
Well, so a couple things. I think, first of all, I'm not saying he deserved to die, but I think the paying him as
Oh, he's not a martyr.
he's not an upstanding.
No, George
black
Floyd
citizen.
is a victim. He's not a martyr. There's a difference between being a martyr, because a martyr is you're living your life, knowing that you're going to die for a cause. George Floyd didn't wake up that morning knowing that he was going to die, from police. Most of the people, like Jonathan Price, all these people that have, gotten shot, killed, brutalized by police, they're not martyrs. They're victims.
Right.
Malcolm X was a martyr.
No,
Martin Luther King was a martyr.
Well,
These are guys who pretty much died on a particular hill.
Well, I'm not saying George Floyd thought he was a martyr. The people who's paying him to be a martyr, upstanding black citizen. I think,
like I said, for 7 years he didn't commit a crime. So as far as I'm concerned, for 7 years he was an upstanding citizen if he didn't do anything. The past was the past, and ultimately that was part of his life. But at the end of the day, that had nothing to do with what happened that particular day, and it's asinine to constantly bring that up.
Yeah. All right. So let me give you a personal story. So my brother was killed June of this year, and he was killed by someone driving 80 in a residential district. Now this guy had a convicted felony on his record, and he fled the scene. And I'm not saying this is what George Floyd did, but if let's say 2 years from now, 2 years from now, if the police catch him and kill him in custody, will I feel bad for him? Absolutely. But I can't separate that man from the victim. I think the guy himself deserved that because he killed my brother and he left. So for that lady that he put the gun to her stomach on, when she sees George Floyd's name all over social media, she sees people, oh, George Floyd was a good man. He lived a good life. and you see
Well,
that,
yeah, obviously not.
that's
Because
disgusting.
yeah, you're practically a part of that situation. Like, let's say what happened to your brother, because I never even, I never actually even knew that, because I didn't ask, obviously,
Right, right,
but you're that's your brother. I have, you know, no qualms for you feeling the way that you feel. You're supposed to feel like that was your brother. You're pretty much a part of that situation because that happened to somebody that close to you. So now, when it comes to that, pregnant woman, that's pretty much on her, whether she chooses to forgive him or not. That's really solely on her.
right,
Me, I'm not a part of either situation, but I can only look at it objectively. I'm not gonna say that if she hates this guy as Gus and feels like she deserves it, you're not wrong for that, because I wasn't there. I don't know how he made you feel in that particular situation, which
right,
wasn't a good situation at all. So I get that. But me being that I'm just a completely removed, third party. I'm just looking at that 7 years isolated. And I'm looking at that particular instance isolated, because
right,
he's not the only one that's happened to, where he's had a criminal background and then he got into it with police and it didn't go well. Because
right.
as far as I'm concerned, I think Eric Garner didn't have the most perfect background either. As far as
Right.
I know, like I said, I'm not the expert on these situations, but the guy was selling cigarettes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And let's say he might have had a criminal background where he might have stole cars, or was involved with gangs or sold drugs or whatever. And you see what I'm saying? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't rationalize or justify anything, in my eyes. Because again, when you're looking at it from the situation of you're a victim of what this person did to you, you're not wrong for feeling the way that you feel, because and no one can tell you how you're supposed to feel if they weren't there. And even
Right.
if they were there, you're you know what I mean, you're your own person. So
Right.
just for me, I'm just looking at it like, look, dude came out of prison, could have came out a different person, and you got 7 years that says that he didn't do anything to put himself back in that criminal setup or position. And unfortunately, he got into that situation which had nothing to do with his criminal background, and he got killed.
Right.
George Floyd is not a martyr, he was a victim,
Right.
period. I think people painting him as a martyr is wrong, because we don't have any martyrs. We don't have, I've been saying this since the beginning, we don't have any martyrs that are willing to die on the hill of, the fact that police brutality against Black people is wrong. We don't have anybody. Unfortunately, the people that are dying are people who wake up that morning, they didn't wake up that morning knowing that that was going to be their last day alive,
Right.
clearly. So that wasn't a hill that they chose to, that wasn't a hill of their choosing, because I'm
Right.
pretty sure if all these victims had their way, they would still be alive today. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's what I'm saying isn't so much um don't protest for him, but I think, trying to paint him as a a good figure for the Black community is not ideal, because even
I think people are. I never got that. I think people are just painting him as a victim that was wrongfully killed and should still be alive today. It should be remembered in another symbol of what's been continuously happening over and over and over again. Because most people would tell you that Trayvon Martin, was a hooligan.
and they did that, then media did that.
Yeah, most, like, a lot of these scenarios, the rebuttal and the response is that, oh well, look what this person was doing with themselves before that. All right, but look at these guys who go to synagogues and churches and kill people.
Yeah.
They're still alive. They're still alive today.
Don't know how that's
How come,
happening,
and,
but
and and you look at their background, it's not clean either. How come they don't get a fair shake at life? A lot
yeah.
of these dudes, they get to go to jail and sit for the rest of their life. 1 or 2 meals a day, however it is that they do it, and then they get to live to tell the tale.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think that they're saying that George Floyd is LeBron James. I haven't seen that. I ain't seen that. But for me, like I said, he has now become another face.
Right.
Unfortunately, wrongfully so, because he died before his time.
Right. Absolutely. 100%.
Trayvon Martin died before his time. George Zimmerman probably say, oh well, he was a hooligan. He did this. He was a gang member. He was doing this. He was doing that. So what? Look at all these mass shooters. They make pit stops for them on the way to the station.
Yeah.
Dude,
It's unfortunate.
Dude in Kenosha, he's not in jail. He's not even in jail. Dude's not even in jail. And he went out with an AR and shot people.
But that was the dude that this was the protest like a month ago, right? Something like that.
Yeah, Kenosha was like a month or so ago.
Now, is that the one where it was a white kid, right? That went to protest.
The police saw him on the way there with the guns and didn't do anything.
I saw the video. So apparently, with that situation, I read about it. He didn't. So what happened was he went to the protest, to help local business owners, protect their business, and two people attacked him, which triggered him to shoot people. Now, I'm not saying he should have brought a gun with him, but people did attack him, which is why he shot.
Why they attack him?
I think they didn't want him to be there. It wasn't like he put the gun in their face. Yeah, and that's the issue. I'm not saying him carrying a gun was right, but if someone attacks you.
Yeah, these protesters, it's not like, it's like I said in one of the podcasts before, when these protests are turning violent, is because these protesters are only doing what's being done to them. Especially if you probably walk up to somebody and be like, yeah, this person's dead. They're dead because they're supposed to be dead. Or yeah, I'm glad whoever the life that you're protesting about is dead. I'm glad this person is dead. And people are supposed to just stand there and take it. Some people, they're not, they just don't have the fortitude to do that. You get disrespected. I'm, like I said, most of these, I firmly do not believe that people are going to these protests with the intention of protesting and also to beat people up and be bullies. That's counterproductive unless it's like deep state Antifa guys that are there to, create smoke and mirrors. But I highly doubt that shit.
Yeah, the whole Antifa thing
in the video, and you see the videos of police bullying them.
Yeah.
What is the rationale of you showing up to a protest and you're not there in support of the protest with an assault rifle?
Well, so I'm not going to defend him carrying an assault rifle, but I'm seeing a lot of people if that's his community, what's happening is a lot of these protests are turning into riots. So, people.
That's not his job.
Building. It's not, but
it's not his job. Who made him the designated freaking Terminator? That's not your job.
Yeah, but
tell me the police didn't see that and say, "Oh, okay, so he's not a protester, and he's got this AR, and he's like between 18 and 21 years old. What's he about to do with that?"
I saw that video of them. Yeah, if I'm just walking past. I'm not defending the man, but I think
I'm not saying you are, but what I'm trying to figure out is if you can give me a valid reason as to why somebody would show up with an AR. I don't give a shit if it's your community. There's law enforcement for clearly they were there. They weren't there guns blazing. You the only one there guns blazing. My point is this dude's not even in jail. But George Floyd is for doing not even a half percentage of what this dude did.
Well, I think I don't know why he's not in jail, but I think
that's why he's not in jail.
Yeah, it could.
That's why he's not in jail. It's not.
Wait,
it's facts.
Let me ask you a question. How many people did he kill? Do you know?
Huh?
How many people did he shoot at?
You'd be the one to tell me that. Like all I know is that he killed people.
Okay. Because I'm not sure how many people he killed, but I know the reason why he started shooting was because people started hitting him.
Say I go to a KKK rally with a gun and I'm black and I know all these people hate me. So what you already know what I'm going to do with that gun. I'm there to antagonize people by standing there. And the minute that they say or do something to me, I'm shooting them. That was it. And there were there were absolutely no consequences. It's not fair. Yeah. It's not fair. So this is why you see people making t-shirts with George Floyd's face on there because of things like that. To me, that's exactly why. So it's not that he's a reminder. He's a reflection of this lopsided, society. I don't care about his past. I don't care about none of that because I see this dude, what he's doing here and now today did way worse than what freaking George Floyd did. No one cares. You got people shooting up schools, shooting up
Yeah.
churches, shooting up
Well,
churches, shooting up churches. Oh, can we stop somewhere for you before we go down to the station?
yeah.
Crazy looking dude. There was the guy who went to um one of the premieres for the Aurora shooting. I forgot what state that is for Dark Knight Rises back in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Went up in the theater and shot everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he dead? No, he's in jail. They didn't kill him though, right? Oh, but if I sell cigarettes and the cop tells me, stop selling cigarettes, I get killed. But you mean to tell me he went to a movie theater? No one else was armed. With probably like one emergency exit that people probably couldn't get to fast enough.
And
And
just
he
let him
opened
up.
fire on people. He opened fire on people. And you mean to tell me he's still alive?
Yeah.
And then the only rationale that someone can think of for the contrary is the fact that George Floyd got a criminal background.
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin got a criminal background. Sandra Bland was talking shit. Jonathan Price tried to break up a fight. Breonna Taylor just knew somebody that was in a relationship with somebody that was doing something wrong. Yeah. Come on, bro. There is no valid rebuttal to any of that. Everything that has taken place for decades, but we're going to talk about the last 10 years, because in the last 10 years is like this new era of like police brutality and violence against Black people. Everything that's been happening is absolutely wrong. And you can 100%. See who and what the system is in favor of.
Yeah.
Period. Because I bet you, let me go to let me be Mr. Anti-Trump. Let me be Mr. Anti-KKK. And let me show up to one of their freaking, rallies with an AR in an open carry state. And let me open fire on them, and let's see if I live to see. Let's see if I make it to the station. Let's see.
We don't know you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is white privilege.
Yeah. Well, the protest is a whole nother issue. So much to discuss, but it's getting to the point where what happens, because just a couple weeks ago, or if not last week, people were upset that the officers from the Breonna Taylor case didn't get charged. So what they do, two officers was at a call at a store. One of them was Black, and they shot them both. They had nothing to do with the case, and they shot them both. So it becomes a never-ending cycle of violence. It's like, how do you fight police brutality and then kill other police officers? It just it continues the cycle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying everybody at the protests are for that, but when you have bad bunches in there, you have cases where cops are getting killed, protests are getting killed, and then next week we got to do this whole thing all over again. So,
well, there's a reason why Trump keep talking about deep state agents in Antifa, because they're the ones that were handing out bricks and setting a lot of these establishments on fire, right? I mean, you see it.
Oh yeah.
So you mean to tell me you think that it wasn't, there isn't a realm of possibility that it could have been one of them that just decided to shoot those two cops in the head?
But that's the problem. That's the problem. A lot of
you don't think that there's like a whole reason as to why all of this is going on? Because to me, this isn't just by coincidence.
It's not. Absolutely not.
There's a reason why there's been no change. There's a reason. You see what I'm saying? Like in the debate, Biden just sat there and said his solution to the problem. And it was funny, we talked about this before. You asked me what I would say to them, and I literally watched the debate, or like I skipped around the debate to specifically to that topic of race and police brutality. His solution to the problem is, okay, so I'm just gonna have meetings with the NAACP and other Black organizations so I can get their opinion on this.
So no concrete answer. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm not gonna get into the whole politics thing again, but just to touch on that, this is my whole issue with this whole politics thing right now, especially from the Biden side. And I'm not saying I support Trump, but it seems like everything they talk about is all racist, or is just there to start up fear, and they have no answers. I went on a popular post on YouTube, on Facebook, and everybody's commenting. And I asked people, I said, look, I understand you want to vote for him, But what laws is he passing that you know of? What is his ideas? What is his plan?
I don't know.
And I got no response from anybody. No response. It's like, how you gonna vote for somebody you don't even know what he's planning on doing? So we're gonna get another 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
He was vice president for 47 years. Besides
It's
him, he worked with the KKK leader. He helped pass that crime bill to put black people in jail.
and more
And Trump is
support
the only
for
bad
law
one we're
enforcement.
talking about here. Like
More
it's
support and aid for law enforcement on top of that. So, because Joe Biden support the police, what you think will happen when he get in office? Like,
yo, bro,
no.
this is what I'm saying. I mean, is it a lose-lose situation for everybody? Most likely. But this my issue is that, like, what is the plans? Like, what are you trying to do? Because every time I hear anything, whether it's actors, celebrities, news medias, everything that they talk about what Biden's going to do is we're not going to do what Trump did. But what are you planning on doing? How you like this is my whole thing with the not the the Proud Boys thing. You know, they all are you going to denounce white supremacy? Well, is having minority leaders and members of white supremacy group. I didn't know that was white supremacy, but you're not going to ask Biden about Antifa, the group that's burning down buildings, killing innocent business owners, causing billions of dollars in destruction. But Proud Boys, yeah, yo, this whole thing is a mess. The whole thing is a sham. It's it's all race baiting, and it's all to instill fear into people because
Hatred, really.
yeah, ever since the
All it's
debate,
doing is making us hate each other more.
yeah, ever since the debate, every headline I see, whether it's celebrities coming out supporting Biden or news outlets saying something, it's always about the fear of COVID, the fear for Black people, and you know, white supremacy. It's like,
Well,
what plans are y'all passing though? You know what I'm saying?
my question, the question that I've been asking myself, and probably a question that I would really ask people is, I wonder if people hated George Bush as much as they hate Trump.
No,
Right. You know what I'm saying? And because I'm young, and really the presidents that he's really the main president that I really know, obviously as like a young adult, up until Obama and then Trump now. But I really think that it's just all part of a plan, because I don't think people really, I think people had come to accept the fact that Trump was president. Obviously, once he won, he won. I mean, they tried to impeach him and to do all those things, but I think it's just misplaced. Like I told you before, of course, the pandemic was going to happen during the term of the worst president, like during the term of Trump, or what people think as the worst president of all time. Because I don't think I've ever heard of a president that was so hated, like ever. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
it almost feels like he wasn't supposed to, be president. But that's why I feel like people should ask themselves more questions and do more research. Because I'm gonna be very slow to listen to somebody who, when you ask them that question, like, oh, so why do you support him? And then they can't tell you other than, oh, because the media says he's the bad guy. Well, why does the media say he's the bad guy? And can
It's all scummy, man. It's all
Yeah,
scummy.
because me, the thing is, when I listened to the debate or when I was watching it on YouTube, I was listening and watching it with an open mind, so I was willing to listen to both sides.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
And I was listening to Biden. I'm trying to think, right? So why do people think he's so great? And he didn't say anything that, like, especially about this racial tension. He didn't say anything. So
Right.
I think people really want him to be president for the cosmetic of it more so than how it actually affects their particular lives. Now, I am really making it my business to get more informed. So let's say by maybe the next time I talk about this, I know a bit more than I do right now. Because I never claimed to be the most, the expert on politicians. I am not. But when it comes to what actually I am passionate about and what does, affect me, that's one of them.
Right.
Especially like they talked about global warming, but do they ever talk about why is it that we're still operating on, gas cars, and why technology hasn't really moved that forward in the last 100 years?
Right.
Because 100 years ago they were driving around in cars. We're still using that same technology. Why isn't like Tesla-esque cars the new norm?
All the questions that
Why
aren't being answered. Uh-huh.
because they're not asking these questions, because like I'm pretty sure, kind of like when you have a podcast and sometimes the talking points will be discussed, the talking points for the debate were discussed, so they knew everything that they were going to talk about. It's not like these questions are just, out of left field.
Yeah, I didn't buy when he said these are all questions that, like, come on, you telling me you're gonna put the president up and he doesn't know what you're gonna ask him?
Well,
It's
I mean, the general
it's
consensus.
possible, but
Well, once the collective consciousness of this society increases, and everybody realizes it's not about this guy or that guy, it's about the system, it's about the establishment. Once you realize that that is not working for your own benefit, then you'll wake up, because it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's not her fault.
it's the
The
establishment.
establishment that's not working. Once you realize that, then you will wake up. Until then, if you're asleep, you're gonna say, "Oh, it's him. It's him." No, it's not.
Exactly.
It's been the same way for a minute.
Yeah,
Why y'all blaming him? I'm like, it was like that when Obama was president. Except the only difference is that there was no pandemic, or at least
exactly.
nothing that crazy. That's the
And he
only.
was black. Let's be honest.
And he was
He was
black.
black.
But
Yeah.
the only difference is in terms of what occurred that affected people was the pandemic.
Exactly. And look,
And I think gas prices, because the last time I think gas prices were really super high, Obama was in office.
look, man, I don't get into politics too much because I know how divisive it is, but I just encourage people to really do their research because, like I said, like what every headline right now is how every celebrity right now is coming out. Taylor Swift, Michelle Obama, bless her heart, but every time they come out, they just say, "Oh, vote for Biden because Trump's handling on COVID was terrible." Well, okay, well, even if that was true, what is Biden providing to the people? All I know right now is that when he comes to office, if he does, we're gonna get taxed way more. He's gonna hike up taxes for everybody.
I
He's
believe
gonna
Trump when he says that Biden is going to shut everything down. I
oh,
believe.
he is. He already said that
I
the
believe you.
Democrats want the and that's another thing about the COVID thing. You know, everybody's Trump did a bad job, but okay, he knew in February he shut down, and I said this before, he shut down the country. You know, states complained about it, so of course he's gonna say, okay, all right, go do what you got to do. Of course, people are gonna die because we have states like Florida, California, who have, who are just opening up. Law enforcement isn't enforcing rules because there's been many a times, especially in the early stages, where law enforcement wouldn't enforce the rules that the mayor put out. He was like, okay, the beaches shouldn't be open. They was like, well, if we don't give them parking tickets, then it's all right. Well, so of course people gonna get sick. Of course people gonna get sick. You can't blame 211,000 deaths on one person when you
You
have states
can't.
like Florida.
You
When you have a
can't.
states like Florida that don't follow any of the rules, you got people doing COVID parties, people traveling and having a good old time, going home, getting their parents sick. That's on all of us. It's not
Well,
just Trump's fault.
it's my understanding that, as far as I've seen, again, I'm not a expert at this, but from what my understanding is, a lot of the people who have passed away are people who are a lot older
I
and
have
have pre-existing
mm-hmm,
complications with their health.
right.
That's why it's 200,000 and not millions and millions of people. And when you look at, the mortality rate or the fatality rate, as far as like other diseases like the flu and stuff like that, the numbers are kind of relatively the same.
Right.
So, or worse, if not, like I said, I'm not an expert at this, but again, it's
It's
not,
higher. It's higher, but
it's not Trump's fault for everything. And all this shit happened his last year in office. People my people should just expose themselves to both sides.
exactly.
Get
Yep.
just get familiar with both sides. That's it. Like, just don't just be one way, or just be, because see, this is a quote that I think I might have said this to you in another podcast, but I Childish Gambino, I always go back to this. He says this: do you really like what you like, or do you like how they gave it to you?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Beautiful.
a lie is always easier to find than the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with the truth is, you got to really kind of go look for it. You might have to do your research. It might take you a little bit more time, but people don't want that. People just want flip to the
Quick.
news, and then just get what they're just spoon feeding you. I'm not the type of person where I like to be spoon fed. Like I'll feed myself. Like I'll go find something, for me to eat, but I'm not going to eat, what you want to give me just because you say it's good for me. How do I know that?
Right.
And even if I do partake, I'll spit it out if it's not good for me. Period. People don't want to do that. People just don't want to go the extra mile to inform themselves, because you got to understand something. Information is a lot more powerful than a vote. To be informed is a lot more powerful than an uneducated vote at that. So I'll say an uneducated vote, because if you know what you're voting for and you can tell me why you're voting, then go ahead. That's fine, because that means that's based on information that you sought out, right or wrong.
Right.
Because the thing is, people talk about a zombie apocalypse, and I've been thinking about this, when I really look at the things that are going on. People talk about a zombie apocalypse. We're already living in one. We are because of social media, and I guess just media in general, and how it's become the new norm. We are so stupefied. When you look at the definition of stupefied, it's the inability to think and feel properly. That's everybody. Because people aren't thinking from a critical standpoint. People aren't asking questions. This is why the general consensus is, oh, all these celebrities are saying that, the news is saying that, I'm going to follow them.
Exactly.
Stupefied. Like, it's just, and then people look at you funny when you're asking questions. Like, wouldn't you?
It's the sheep mentality, man. It's the sheep mentality.
Right. Like, why wouldn't you want to find out the who, what, where, when, and why, as far as what's going on around you? Like, why would you not want to ask questions? Why would you not want to hear both sides and then make an informed decision based on two different sides of information? That's my problem. And again, I don't claim to be the most informed person, but at least I ask questions. At least I'm open to what's going on, like, and how people are so quick to dismiss conspiracy theories and things like that. Like, it might not be as crazy. Look at what happened when Harvey Weinstein, people thought that was crazy until dude went to jail.
Yeah.
And then the other, like, I forgot their names, but like these two actors, and then they were doing like pedophile shit, and then they went to jail for that. Like, I don't know if you heard about that. Did you hear about that or no?
Like what was it?
So there's two actors who are part of like a child pedophile
ring. One of the girls was from Smallville. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so do you honestly think for 1 second that she's in Hollywood, successful actor, actress, whatever? You think that she was the only one? They were just the ones
that got caught.
That got caught. So when people are talking about, especially the way the internet is set up now, where you could post something up, you could post a story, and then now Instagram would tell people before they even see your story that this is false information, and that it's deemed that by independent fact checkers. 3 years ago, they weren't able to do that. They made that legal right under our noses, but because we're in a stupefied state, so we're so focused on the Grammys and this going on and that going on, that a lot of things that we should be like privy to, information that we should be privy to, we don't know anything about. And then now we just accept it, when in reality, that's censorship, because who are they to determine whether or not information is right or wrong? It's just not the information that they want you to know about. So before people get to read it, they have to go through the screen that says this is false information.
Right.
Because they got the QAnon groups, which pretty much kind of says what Trump's real purpose is and like how he came to be the president. And then now their whole thing is to remove all of that. But people are just okay with that, right?
This is the time we live in, man. Is this the time we live in? They know people are very
they don't give a damn.
It's like what I said before. Every election year, do you always notice the same celebrities actors, people who have a following, they come out and support the same person. Why? Why?
I haven't
And
even seen it as like prominent. Like everybody's on the same accord
until
until
now,
this election. Like
yeah.
I have never seen like a united front of entertainers and athletes and media people, everybody all on one
Side.
accord. Like, I have never seen that before. Like, I mean, people supported Obama, but not like they support Biden.
Right.
Like that, and I don't even think you even like thought about it like that, but that's true. Like people didn't support Obama as heavy as they're supporting this dude right now. Like it seems like it's either Biden gets in office or like nothing. I'm just a critical thinker. I'm a free thinker at that, and I expose myself to new information. I encourage anybody listening to this, please do the same before you. I even say judge because I don't really care, but just before you voice the contrary or you balk or you scoff, just read a book. Do just put in the extra time, the extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour to an hour. Maybe you got to watch a documentary. Do something.
Do something. Yeah, man.
Just do something. Because even I'll say this, like with Michael Jackson, people were just quick to just accept, oh Michael Jackson is a pedophile, not knowing that if you maybe take the extra hour and change, then you'll actually find the truth. Because you got to dig for the truth. It's like you dig a hole, you're gonna the lie is gonna be closer to the surface than the truth is. That's just how things go.
Yeah.
And people are so lazy. People don't want to do that. People just want easy access in this instant gratification era.
That's why this is why news outlets do what they do. They create clickbait headlines because all they gotta say is Trump said white supremacy is good, and people's gonna be, oh, okay, well, we gotta
Yeah,
get Trump out of office. But
yeah.
if you take the time to read the article, that's exactly not what happened. It's like what I said before. Trump has denied white supremacy before. And just a side note, when has a president ever been asked to deny white supremacy? But that's nonetheless. Um, it's all a sham, man. It's all a sham. And like Lord Jamar said, don't fall for everything that they give to you. Why? Because everything is a distraction. You see Taylor Swift voting for Biden. Okay, well, all her fans are going, all right, let's vote for Biden. Beyonce come out and say, I'm voting for Biden. All right, I'm gonna go vote for Biden. Now, I guarantee you this is gonna happen. 2 years from now, we're gonna be in the exact same mess that we're in right now. Exact same mess. Because people aren't educating
Yes.
themselves. Again, I'm not saying I'm a Trump supporter. And I know people might say I am just because I'm the quote unquote defending man.
I
But let's
already
be real
debunked that.
here.
I
Yeah,
already debunked that. Don't get mad at Trump. Don't get mad at Biden. Get mad at the system. That's
it's
it.
the system.
That's
Yeah.
it. Be in favor of your fellow man and an enemy of the system that clearly is not for your benefit, and it's for the benefit of the ultra rich and the billionaires and the multimillionaires that are making M's while you're sitting there struggling at home homeschooling your kids. That's already debunked already. There's nothing that anybody can tell me like, oh well, no. So you're gonna tell me that the system is working. So then why are you mad at Trump if it's working?
Right. It's a mess. It's the whole thing is a mess. This whole election has always just been about putting fear in people. Because I haven't heard not one person talk about what Biden, maybe Trump once or twice, but I haven't heard anybody say what Biden's offering. You know what I'm saying? So, people could talk about, oh, Trump should have did this better. But people don't know. I shared this article.
Let me
When
tell you
Biden
something.
comes in president, he's raising taxes on us, not the upper class, the people with millions in the bank. Of course, they're going to support Biden because if he gets elected, they fine. They're going to be fine. They get less taxes. But me, you, and everybody else who's working, we're going to have to pay 10% extra tax. And people don't know this information. And then when you share it to them, oh, that's not true.
They
Where
don't
you get
care.
the source from?
They're just gonna
Yo,
go about their lives anyway. But my a bigger, just as big, if not slightly bigger, concern of mine, and I talked about this in my second podcast, where 2020 would have been completely different if Hillary Clinton were, president, and my concern would be how she would have handled the whole pandemic. I feel like if her or Biden were in office, everything would still be closed. You know,
yeah.
like the certificate of vaccination ID would have been times 10. Like, I don't know, because you got to understand this is a very important election, because I wonder how he would handle that. And then they're not answering these questions. Like, you have Trump, who's pro, vaccine and everything like that. But I can only imagine, Biden is like that on steroids. Like, he.
Biden wants to close the economy down. So
Well,
Trump
yeah,
wants to open it.
I already said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gonna close everything down, and then I don't want to like I don't like I said, man.
This is the thing I understand. Like I'll get arguments with people, and I see people complaining about being stuck at home when Trump is trying to reopen the economy. What do you think is going to happen when Biden comes to office? He's going to be stuck at home even longer. So, I
Well,
mean, I
bro,
don't know, man. It's a whole.
I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I keep it, freaking. I even say PC. I ain't going back to park workouts, bro. Home workouts. I ain't doing it.
I'm already used to. Yeah.
I see, that's the thing. See,
I want
y'all
the
had,
gym to open. I want the gym to
see,
open.
yeah, see, y'all had the gyms and then they closing back up. See, they opened up.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going back, dude. Like, my life has increased since the gym is open. I just refuse to. Nah, man.
Yeah, this whole COVID thing, man, it's very divisive, and I, I hate to
To be
see.
divisive, it's people that are making it something that it doesn't really have to be. People just have to understand this. I got a podcast, coming soon about this, but COVID-19 does not stand for coronavirus disease in 2019. That's not what it stands for. It stands for freaking, because if that was the case, just call it coronavirus. It is
Yeah,
certificate of vaccination identification adopted in 2019. Nobody was talking about coronavirus in 2019.
exactly.
So how is it coronavirus disease from 2019? That doesn't make any sense. If people keep calling this shit COVID, oh, he died of COVID, and I'm like, y'all don't even know what the hell these things stand for, but yet you keep on repeating it, and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, and people don't care, because you got
They
to
don't.
understand. I don't, like I said, I don't know how Trump would handle this either, but I can only assume that a certificate of vaccination is going to become the new driver's license. Is going to become the new passport. It's going to be the equivalent to that, where you might not even need to do that in order to do things that you want to do. Like, let's say you might go to the bank to apply for a new bank account. You want to go to the bank or something and take out money. You want to go vote. You're gonna the certificate of vaccination is going to be a mandatory ID that people are going to start carrying from now on to come and go. You see what I'm saying? Because now the mask is that you need a
Yeah,
mask to go places. So once people are going to start to be vaccinated now, in order to, how are they going to know you got vaccinated unless you have that ID?
yeah.
See
It's
what I'm saying? That, and people don't, because the thing is, I really kind of want to look at the numbers in terms of like the swine flu and Ebola and a lot of West Nile virus and a lot of these diseases that kind of emerged years ago, and see what those numbers look like. Because even for me right now, I don't want to say that this wasn't worthy of shutting down the economy and everything like that, but I just want to make a comparison so that way I can have an informed opinion, because I just don't think that this should affect people's way of life to that degree, where, and most people, they're not in favor of that. Most people, they don't want to get a vaccine, but they're gonna have no choice, because in order to go back to work,
you're gonna have
to
to get
go
one.
to stores, to make purchases, to live life that you want, this is what you're gonna have to do. So
Yeah,
are you gonna be with the guy that, who apparently tested positive for it and said that he's fine and took his mask off and everything? Even I seen videos of him breathing a little funny, but are you gonna listen
yeah,
to him? Or the guy's gonna tell you to get the vaccine when they're probably giving it to you, and then you're gonna get sick, because when you get a flu shot, you're getting the flu, and then your body builds an immunity to it. And then this is a vaccine that hasn't been tested for years and years and years. This is fast tracked.
yeah.
All things started in March, and then you mean to tell me in a matter of 7 to 8 months they already got something out that's going to be mass produced for people?
Yeah,
Also, I Am
bro.
Legend, they
It's
said that they
a
had the cure for cancer in I Am Legend, and look what happened years later.
exact. Yeah, I'm not falling for it. I look. I'm not taking no vaccine or nothing. This whole thing, I know a lot of people feel like this is a conspiracy that the government cooked up. I'm not saying it's true or not, but it is a
That's not to
coincidence
say
that,
that people haven't. That's not to say that people have not been affected by that. I'm not going to say that because those 200,000 people that passed away, as far as these are real people. Even though I've heard things that people have died, in the hospital, and then they just said it was because of that.
yeah, people are
So
just,
a lot.
yeah.
You,
Then,
you, Trey Songz, tested positive for COVID-19, but then yet he's taking selfie videos with his shirt off, sipping coffee in his backyard. I'm like, tested positive, huh? Yeah. All right.
a lot of people feel like celebrities are just saying that to,
It's
I,
to me, it's to give it more because people pay more attention to entertainers than they do politicians.
they do. Yep.
So you got to understand when all these people that you watch all day, every day, and these people that you look up to are saying that they got it. If they weren't saying that, then how is this legitimate if nobody that has got it? That's their job. So I said the entertainer's not the leader because the people that you have a problem with are cutting their checks.
Man, I'll tell you this. I do worry about it because I have asthma. I was born with asthma, so God forbid if I catch it, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. But my whole thing with the coronavirus thing is I don't believe the numbers. I can't believe the numbers because people, and this has came out quite a few times. People are dying from COVID, but they didn't really die from COVID. They had an underlying issue that they had, and COVID just fast tracked it. And
Exacerbated that.
so it's all the numbers are all over the place. I don't know what to believe. One minute is 50,000 people dying, then now all of a sudden it's at 211,000. I don't know, man. I'm not saying it's not real, but I don't believe everything that they give to us. And I encourage people to really
Do the research.
do the
Look at the
research. Do the
statistics.
research. Don't give
Like I
everything that
said,
they give to you.
yeah, like I said, make a comparison to other, diseases that have popped up, and then look at the numbers and make a comparison. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing wrong in asking questions. People are on their phones anyway. Might as well
Yeah.
take, like I said, might as well take 10 minutes just to look certain things up. But people are just more, quick to just do what they're told and to just just to take what's just been given to them, not what they're just gonna go out and forge for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And
It's a mess. Have you this whole presidential election is built on fear. It's all built on the fear of COVID and fear of racism. That's
fear of
all it
Trump.
is. This Nobody's talking about what laws they have in mind or what policies they're thinking about putting in effect. It's all about this should have happened with COVID or this should have happened with police. It's all fear. I don't see nobody giving me what am I voting for? I'm just voting for a face so I can get screwed over next year. I don't think so. I'm not getting caught in it. And this is why I just call out Biden, is because at least with Trump, we already have an idea where we're gonna get with the man. We already know he's gonna be on Twitter at 7 in the morning, tweeting whatever he wants to say, or blah blah blah. But Biden, I don't know what I'm getting with this guy. He wants to open up the
Yo,
economy.
that's crazy.
All his political slogans is, "Oh, Trump did this and Trump did that," but
Trump insults.
yo, I don't.
Crazy.
We're screwed. We're screwed regardless. At the end of the day, if you vote for Biden, by all means, have fun. I'm not here to change your vote, but I guarantee you, man, next year, 2 years from now, we're gonna be in the same predicament. People still getting sick, probably not a vaccine, and people gonna be, oh well, maybe we should have voted for Trump, and this is gonna be too late. So
Trump gonna be like, oh well, I try to tell y'all.
this whole thing is a mess, man. This whole election is a mess, and I was looking forward to the next debate. I might watch it because I want to see what happens this time around. But again, where the election is a month away, less than a month, and I have no idea what the future holds. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
People saying the
uncertain.
vaccine could be here in November. Then I'm hearing from professionals that's coming in May.
Right.
Everybody's finger blaming and got no solution. Like,
Yeah.
yo, we gotta do better, man. Like, this
Yo, that's a
election is a mess. I
That's
mean,
a fact.
at this point, it is picking the lesser of two evils, and I feel like people are voting for Trump because they already know what to expect and they already have an idea.
Right.
It's like an employer. Who would you hire? The guy you already have history with, or the guy you never met before? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just funny, like this whole ever since the debate, uh, like I said, it's the same. Every actor, celebrity are all voting for the same person.
They're not going to.
Why? It's
Yeah.
because they want you to vote for him and you're gonna get screwed later. So definitely do your research because following voting for Biden just because Taylor Swift said she voted for him, what is good? She got millions in the bank.
Yeah. Like
She's
it
not
doesn't.
affected by this.
These
She could pay.
politics do not affect her
Yeah,
at all.
she could
Like
afford to pay her rent for the next 30 years without having to work again.
without
But
having to
you,
work a day in her life,
yeah,
without having to work a freaking
but
day in her life.
But you, the people who are working every day, or maybe just collecting unemployment, you're gonna be screwed when unemployment isn't coming, and you're gonna be evicted. And why? Because Taylor Swift said go vote for Biden. So I just, I just, I just want people like make an educated vote because voting
Yeah.
for somebody just because, you know, one is a bully. I'd rather take the bully who gets stuff done than the nice guy who don't get nothing done. And based off his 47 years as vice president, I can't expect much from him. It's like I compare it to acting. A lot of these celebrities are assholes, but why do they hire them? Because they know it's gonna be a blockbuster hit. So
Right.
are you going to hire Tom Cruise? Well, Tom Cruise is not an a-hole. He's not, but there's quite a few though. But are you going to hire Tom Cruise or then some guy in Brooklyn who's an actor? And that's not a bad thing. But let's be real here. So I think we had a productive discussion. This was supposed to be about George Floyd, and then it just
All this really has to do with George Floyd because what caused George Floyd was really the system, which isn't working.
system
So,
is a mess. We have a
so
lot of work to do, and it starts with us, and it ties into these protests because I understand people out there passionate, but the people looting, destroying property, what good is that doing for us? It's not doing anything. And I understand that you have to fight violence with violence, but when you do it, when you're destroying billions of dollars of property in your own community, who you think is going to pay for that? So it's there's no aid coming, there's no package being passed. So who you think is going to have to pay for it?
yeah,
Us, we're gonna have to pay. The people who live in those communities are gonna have to pay for it when they wake up and want to get something to eat, but their local mom and pop and shop store is gone because people looted it and destroyed it. So now you got to drive 10 minutes or 15 minutes to another place. It's this whole 2020 can be in the garbage for all I care. It's been a mess. Um,
yeah,
Nothing good has come out of it.
nope,
People just do your research
yeah.
and we'll be well. I would say we'll be all right, but we got another year being stuck at home, so forget about that. Anyway, that's a good way to end this thing because it doesn't surprise me one bit, and not to talk too much about it, but it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me. A lot of people think this is a government thing that they did. Because think about it. You know, first coronavirus came, then George Floyd dies, then protesters start, then Breonna Taylor dies, and more protests start. Then you got cops killing other protesters, and you got protesters killing cops. And now this whole election is based off that. I don't know. At the end of the day, this whole thing is up to Big Brother. They influence what's going on, and not much. We could vote, but the votes at the end of the day honestly don't mean crap because we all
Right.
know Trump wasn't supposed to win the 2016 election, and this man got in. So I mean,
That's why
so
they trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink to get his ass out. The pandemic was was part of that shit. The
I
pandemic was part of it because again, like I'm pretty sure if this happened, under Obama, people wouldn't hate him for it.
oh no, it was you know why? And Hassan Campbell said this, and I agree with him. is because Trump wasn't supposed to win. He wasn't supposed to win. He was supposed to be the guy he was a reality TV star. People like me saw him on WWE. He wasn't supposed to be president of the United States. He didn't follow what Big Brother wanted him to do. So he wasn't supposed to win. But then he did win. So now they're turning against him because it's like a family, you know. Your family has traditions, and then you decide to do something else outside of that tradition. What happens to you? So it's the
They
same
go
thing.
crazy.
Trump wasn't with the
There's
he
a
wasn't
glitch in the
down.
system.
He wasn't down with the program. He hasn't been down with the program. So they want to kick him out the program because he's not following their rules. So
Make
who's going to
everybody
follow
hate
the
him in the
program?
process.
Biden. Biden's. It was the
And
same thing with Obama.
everybody hate him in the process.
Yeah, I think the only reason why Obama didn't get hate was because he was a black man. So I'm look, like I said, don't take nothing at face value. Do your research. Don't stop following every celebrity that you see on Twitter. Do your own research. Figure out yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because if Trump wins, he wins. If Biden wins, Biden wins. But 2 years from now, we're still going to be complaining, and people, yeah. So with that, um, if you got this far, thank you for tuning in to the another charismatic podcast episode. Me and my man Dimitri.
Yo.
If you want to support this channel, you can go on my main page and support, or if you want to leave a voice message or something like that, I can include in the episode. So definitely do that because now I'm on 8 different platforms, believe it or not, and it's only been because of you guys' support. But with that, go follow Dimitri on YouTube at Mr. DJ-MDJ. I got it right this time, actually.
Yes, sir.
And then your Instagram is Demetrius
Dimitri
Dues.
Dues Jr.
Oh, it's dues. Okay.
Yeah,
Because you
Jr.
got to pay those SAG dues coming up now.
Yo, right? It's, hey, man. Yo, they might be listening, man.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just looking
Right.
out. And then everybody know who I am at this point. So without further ado, I gotta call Chris Hemsworth, and a better hand is a helping hand.